Hello, good Tuesday evening, folks. We have a pretty impactful winter storm that will bring snow and ice to the region tomorrow night through Thursday morning, bringing the risk for very hazardous to impossible travel conditions throughout the time frame. So let's dig into it. So our storm system will be getting its act quickly together tomorrow afternoon and evening. As we go into the evening hours, we're going to see that precipitation really expand and move through much of the region. So a little bit of the details on why we're seeing this such event is because we have a strong low pressure system that's actually off this map. It's like out in the Midwest. It's going to move northward through the Great Lakes region. So we're going to see a lot of warm air getting kicked up ahead of this storm system, a lot of southerly air. So that is why we're not really seeing a true snowfall event, is just because the low pressure is way too far to the north and we're seeing that warm air surge. However, you might be wondering, with that warm air, why are we getting all this wintry precipitation? Shouldn't we be getting all plain rain? Yes, but this is a more of a complicated setup because even though we have that low pressure system going way north of this region, we will see a surface high pressure develop across portions of the northeast region. This high pressure system will help to lock in the cold air, especially east of the Appalachian Mountains. We're going to have a setup called cold air damming. So even though we're going to have those warm temperatures advecting well above our heads, about 1,500 to 3,000 feet, down at the surface, temperatures will still stay well below that 32-degree mark, and that is why we're going to see that mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain at times, just because of this high pressure essentially locking in the cold air. The mountains are kind of acting as a dam, because if we draw the mountains are like right about here, and as that high pressure system advects in a lot of cold air from the north, it essentially gets stuck. So that's why you have the greatest ice potential through these areas, and much of Pittsburgh region in western PA sees a brief period of ice before quickly changing of rain, is because the cold air just gets stuck to the right of these mountains. And that's what we're going to be seeing on Thursday morning, is that if we look at the precipitation map, the ice stays mostly east of the mountains, and this is because of that cold air damming effect provided by our mountains. So let's get into the future radar and see what's going to be happening as our system moves through the region. So yesterday I mentioned the threat for a potential thump of snow ahead of the main storm system. Right now it's not looking too likely. Models kind of backtracked about this today. There still could be a brief band of potentially some lighter snow in these areas around 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, so between 6 to 8 o'clock, but it doesn't look too big of a threat as it originally looked like. But as we move forward in time, so the time is in the top center corner, so this is 8 o'clock Wednesday evening, and look at that, you're already starting to see some freezing rain begin to creep into portions of south central and southwestern PA. You're gonna have to really watch this potential. Moving on to the evening hours, so by 10 o'clock, your precipitation shield is starting to expand. You have a lot of freezing rain and sleet fall across much of southern Pennsylvania. So even though these areas won't be seeing the highest impacts, especially across southwestern PA, you'll still see that brief onset of freezing rain around 8 to 10 o'clock tomorrow evening, which will make for really tricky travel for a period of time. Moving on to midnight to 1 a.m., you can see the precipitation shield really begins to expand. These lighter pink colors, that is sleet. The darker pink to like the magenta colors, that is your freezing rain. So a lot of freezing rain falling across the Pittsburgh region. Most people should be asleep, but if you are planning to be traveling after midnight across the Pittsburgh region, it could be very icy at times, especially untreated roadways and bridges where they may be a lot colder than the surface temperature, but sleet falling across much of central Pennsylvania. Moving by 3 a.m., our system really begins to grow and expand. Still freezing rain happening across much of southwestern and south central PA. This is where you're going to see your greatest icing, especially from Somerset, Johnstown, Ebensburg, Altoona, Hollidaysburg, Phillipsburg, all of these, North Cambria. You guys are going to be seeing significant icing of greater than a quarter inch. That's where ice storm warnings have been posted by the National Weather Service Office. But otherwise, sleet falling across areas such as St. Mary's, State College, Harrisburg, Philadelphia. You're seeing sleet by 3 a.m. As I start moving into the morning commute, you can see how the warm air starts to really take over southwestern PA, changing most areas to just a cold rain. A lot of warm air, but like I mentioned, there's a strong high pressure system to the northeast, and there's a lot of cold air just getting trapped east of the Appalachian Mountains. You can really see this signature now as we're looking at 5 a.m. A lot of sleet and freezing rain. Freezing rain eventually gets up to northwestern PA to Erie, Greenville, Meadville, Oil City. By 5 a.m. you'll be in that freezing rain threat. And again, snow, sleet, and freezing rain falling across much of central and eastern PA. As we move into the 7 a.m., so right about through the morning commute hour, it's going to be very messy across much of central PA. Again, even into portions of northwest PA, you're seeing that lingering freezing rain, and especially across much of central and eastern PA by 7 a.m., you're seeing a lot of that sleet, freezing rain. It's going to be very slick, very dangerous. Most school districts should close, I assume, on Thursday, if not at least 2-hour, 3-hour delay, just because you're going to have a lot of ice on the roadways. Sleet and freezing rain are quite a bit harder to clean up than just regular snow. It makes things really slick as well. So, especially untreated roadways, back roads, bridges, sidewalks, very icy, and most interstates are also going to be very icy. So, be on alert for that. As we move into 8 to 9 a.m., freezing rain still falling across much of central PA. Again, this is going to be a longer duration morning threat. So by 9 a.m. still a lot of freezing rain occurring. The ridges start to change over to rain as that warm air really begins to take over, but still a lot of ebbs and flow in the precipitation, but still predominantly freezing rain across much of northern and central PA. Still pockets of sleet mixing in at times, but otherwise very icy at 9 a.m. Moving the time to 11 a.m., still scattered freezing rain showers continue across much of northern PA. So State College, St. Mary's, Du Bois, Williamsport, Lock Haven, Hazleton, Scranton, you're still dealing with freezing rain as late as 11 a.m., even to portions of Allentown and into northeast PA. You're still in the freezing rain and sleet by 11 a.m. So it's going to take a little bit of time for that cold air to kind of get scoured out. And it's because cold air is a lot more dense than warm air. So since that cold air is very dense at the surface, it's going to take a lot of wind shift to get that cold air out. So that's why even this might be a little bit overdone on how quick that cold air gets moved out. So be on alert for icing to continue a few hours even after the freezing rain stops. And then by 12 and 1 o'clock, most areas will begin to change over to that rain, but still pockets of freezing rain continue across portions of Williamsport, Scranton. Those areas continue to see that freezing rain. And then as we head into the evening hours, much of the precipitation either stops or changes to plain rain. But still, even though your temperature may warm above 32 sometime between Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon, that doesn't mean the surface is above 32 yet. So that is something you have to keep in mind. Just because your air temperature is above 32, those surface temperatures can lag behind. So you could still see another few hours of icing after your air temperature warms up above 32, which makes this for a very dangerous situation, especially untreated roadways, bridges, sidewalks. Those will stay the coldest the longest, and that is something you have to keep an eye out for. So especially if you're traveling across much of central and eastern PA between 5 to probably about 1 o'clock, you probably should cancel those plans or try to just stay off the roads, because it's just going to be too dangerous to be outdoors, out on the roadways, unless it's a dire emergency. But again, I suspect many school districts will either just close, which would be the best decision, but at least a 2-hour, 3-hour delay. But again, this is going to be a pretty dire situation. Lots of it very hazardous. There's already highway restrictions out on most PA highways and interstates. I'll have an update on that soon. But still, very dangerous Thursday morning commute for much of central, northern, eastern PA. Pittsburgh is the only area that should be on the better side by Thursday morning, because temperatures will be really warming up there, possibly into the 50s. But where that cold air damming really takes hold, especially again along and east of the Appalachian Mountains, that is where you're going to see the longest and most prolonged icing threat Thursday morning. So that's something to keep an eye on. Again, please, if you have any plans, especially Thursday morning commute, try to change those plans or cancel those plans, because it's going to be dangerous. with the continuation of freezing rain and sleet. And some road crew may not be able to get to all roads at all times, so you're going to have a lot of slick spots, and it's not good to lose traction in this kind of setup, because in snow you have at least a little bit of traction when you're traveling, but if you're traveling on sleet or ice, you really don't get that true traction. It's just going to be a mess, an absolute mess. So try to stay off roadways until at least 1 to 2 o'clock, but some, look at that, still by 5 o'clock, even some pockets of freezing rain continue. So some models are beginning to kind of come back on how warm we get in the afternoon, which could make for a pretty serious situation even to the afternoon hours. Portions of northeast PA, you still could be dealing with some icing in isolated areas, and it might not warm up again as fast as models are showing. So even though, again, even if the air temperature says 35, 36, still some surfaces could be at or below 32. So make sure your temperatures are above 32 for at least 4 hours to make sure all roadways are to a better shape. But especially by late Thursday evening, then we should probably get most roadways at least back to normal shape. But Thursday is likely going to be a messy day. Try to stay off roads if possible. So that is with the future radar. Now let's get to a look at some of my latest maps. So this is my latest ice accretion forecast. So again, I kind of been taming down some of the numbers, especially across northern and eastern PA, just because for once it seems like the storm's trending colder, and even though it's trending colder, you're getting less of that freezing rain, but these areas are going to get more sleet and snow now than originally forecasted. So you're going to have all three precipitation types still very messy, very hazardous storms. Just even though you see we're not in the highest ice anymore, still that means you're getting more either snow or sleet. So it's still going to be very hazardous. You don't want to be on roadways. Trust me, you don't want to be on roadways with sleet and snow and freezing rain all at once. It's still going to be dangerous. So again, even if I might still have to shave this down even a little bit more, make it a little more centric, but still, it's still going to be very hazardous. Just because your ice totals are going down, that just means your sleet and snow totals are going up, just because we're seeing a bit of a colder trend in those mid-levels where you could have more of a prolonged sleet or snow event. But again, as I've been saying since like Saturday or Sunday, Central PA is going to be the worst risk for this freezing rain. And especially in all these areas, you're going to have at least 1/10 of an inch of ice, if not more. Especially Somerset and Cambria counties, you're going to see potentially up to maybe 3 to 4/10 of an inch or greater freezing rain. And this is where it gets really serious. Travel will likely be impossible across much of the Thursday morning commute into much of the afternoon commute, especially in these areas where they're going to get more than 1/4 inch of ice. You just might want to stay home all day on Thursday. And especially when you start getting more than 1/4 inch of ice, you're at risk of potential widespread power outages, because you're going to see trees begin to come down limbs, power lines begin to sway down as well. This could be a pretty more dangerous situation across the lower highlands, because you're going to see a lot more ice, and you're going to have trees, branches, limbs coming down. So just stay off the roads if possible across those areas. But in general, across the whole state, stay off the roads Thursday morning. Pittsburgh, you're going to get, in Western PA, Southwest PA, you're going to get that icing too, but your worst icing will occur late Wednesday evening through like midnight or 1 a.m. Thursday. By the morning commute, Southwest PA, you should be good to go. Temperatures will be probably into the mid-40s, maybe even low 50s at that point. But it's really going to be central and eastern northern PA. Thursday morning commute is going to be really bad. But again, don't focus on the exact number. It's just because the ice totals are going down doesn't mean the situation gets better, because it's not. You don't want to be on the roads when it's sleet, snow, and freezing rain at once. It's going to be pretty bad. And with that, I did up my snow amounts, as you noticed today. But this is not just snow. To not make it confusing or anything, I combined snow and sleet into one, because when people do observations, sleet counts as snow accumulation, so I'm just going to do it as one. But again, the heaviest snow and sleet will occur in these areas. Again, even 1/2 inch of sleet, it's going to get rough. Especially when you're getting that snow and sleet mix, it's going to be even more rough. Again, 1 to 2 inches of snow and sleet across much of central and northeast PA. Across far northeastern PA, you can see about a bit more snow compared to sleet, but still 2 to 4 inches of snow and sleet combined. is going to be pretty dangerous. Again, you don't want to be on roadways Thursday morning at all. Just because the ice forecast goes down, that just means you're getting more snow and sleet. It's still a pretty hazardous commute either way. You don't want to be on those roads Thursday morning with the mixed precipitation going on. I expect many interstates, highways, roads, travel might become impossible at times just because of all the snow and sleet falling. So you don't want to be on roads Thursday morning at all. And moving forward, we're going to see some alerts get issued by the National Weather Service. So much of the National Weather Service has issued in this purple color. Those are winter weather advisories. You can go to weather.gov, click on your location to see more of what the alert says, because it varies county to county. But again, very hazardous travel expected across much of the state. Again, winter weather advisories have been issued all the way down to the Pittsburgh region, which is again because of that ice threat tomorrow evening. And in this purplish color, which includes much of central PM, which their counties are on, portions of the higher elevations of Indiana, Westmoreland, Fayette counties, a lot of South Central and portions of Clearfield, again, are also under that. This is an ice storm warning, so these purple counties are ice storm warnings. This is where you'll see between a quarter to a half inch of ice, a little bit more severe, just because you're going to have the threat of power outages, and travel is essentially going to be impossible throughout the time of the ice storm across these purple shaded counties, this darker or purple reddish color. Again, that's because there could be up to 5/10, so up to a half an inch of ice could be possible across those regions. But so even though if it's an advisory, it's going to be a rough commute Thursday. You don't want to be on the roads Thursday if you don't have to be, just because it's going to be, again, snow, sleet, freezing rain all at once. It's going to be very hard to keep up with all roadways, and many roadways will be icy. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this evening video's update. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll be having more updates for the storm over the next 24 hours. And then we have another storm that could take the similar track Saturday into Sunday, another ice storm threat. And then next week is when it gets really fun, because now we could be looking at a potential significant snowstorm. We might not be dealing with so much of an ice storm next week. Next week might be more of a snow threat, and some model guidance is showing quite the heck of a snowfall total so far, but still too early to get into that, but still looking the threat for another 1 or 2 snowstorms next week. So active pattern continues. Stay tuned for updates. Again, reach out with any questions.